Thank you for joining me, ESTRA, this June 1st, 2013, on Talking About You with ESTRA on Block Talk Radio and ESTRA's TV, currently featured on YouTube. This is your car accident show, sharing information and concern that helps you, family, friends, and community from an injured person's perspective, meaning the person hurt in a car accident. Today's topic will be on you and Social Security disability after a traffic collision. For most people, this fork in the road of moving from short-term disability to long-term disability invokes emotion and confusion of where life is going and what it personally means for the future. My commentary on Social Security disability after a traffic collision, and last but not least, discussion related to our topic. In my opinion, some employers add a clause in their group disability insurance policies that require their long-term insureds to apply for Social Security disability within 6 months after becoming disabled in order to reduce their payments or possibly eliminate the injured's claim entirely. Why do so many give up? Most sick or injured individuals do not have the fortitude, knowledge, or resources to fight for themselves during this process, thus ending up living in poverty. Do many insurance companies or corporations made at the expense of their victims earn profits? Where are legislation protections for the sick or injured? Does Social Security disability currently have the same role it once had in past generations for the poor and middle class? Do insurance companies or corporations have too much control over SSDI? Where does this leave you after being in a car accident with a long-term disability? Let's explore this today. In this program, your challenges in dealing with insurance companies, self-insured employers, and coping with everyday situations from being involved in a car accident are up for discussion. Tune in every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or view every Wednesday on ESTRA's TV on YouTube under user ESTRA's blog. We're coming to you from Seattle, Washington. Personally, firsthand, I know your situation. I have dealt with insurance companies such as USAA, Geico, PIMCO, Progressive, Farmers, Allstate, The Hartford, Premier, Blue Cross, United Healthcare, Medicare, likewise Assurance Company, Social Security, and employer S&C Labeling Constructors, previously known as Enron. Now for my commentary on you and Social Security disability after a traffic collision. Each and every day, as I've said before, individuals and families wake up performing their daily routines like life is going to be ordinary. Yet for 1,000 plus of these individuals, life will be changed today. Perhaps this is a good thing because I suspect it would be difficult constantly worrying about what disaster is going to happen. Thankfully, most of us make it through days, weeks, months, or even years with only minor or major issues that do not drastically change our way of life. But sadly, some of us do have a life-altering experience. And when this happened, it tests how well we prepared for the unexpected. In previous generations, we could depend on employer benefits, insurance policies, we had been paying premiums on, savings, and family support. In my opinion, the majority of people realize the importance of self-respect and integrity. Doing the right thing was held in high esteem. There was an accountability for one's actions, and scoundrels were looked down upon. From my perspective, these values held the fabric of our society together for the majority of people. When someone was injured in a car accident, the networks around the individual worked together in hopes of restoring some balance to the individual or family life. Friends, community, employers, state and federal resources all chipped in. We indeed felt like we were our brother's keeper. But something happened. The focus turned from we to I. Employers began looking out for more of themselves and less for their employees, eradicating to a large degree employee loyalty, forcing them to take a more of an I approach to their jobs. Individuals began to think more about their lives than those around them. Sometimes this included their partners or children, or even parents for that matter. Many people began to reach for fame and fortune at the expense of all else, thinking life would become better. But did it? Then a dream-shattering experience happened in a generation where I has been the focus for many instead of we. Employers pay more attention to their bottom lines, insurance companies to their investors, couples separated because they don't want to be held down by the burdens of the injuries of their partners. Governments have been shaken down by the politics of corporate America, and Social Security disability is no longer the safety net it once used to be. In my opinion, this is a snowballing effect from moving from a society of we, the people, to I, the person. From my perspective, there should be room for both we and I to provide a balanced life. Is this a case of doom and gloom? Not really. It is my belief that many people who end up being on the short end of the stick begin to realize the value of being a we more than I. An example of this can be seen in our most recent problems of the day, from New York, New Jersey shores, home foreclosures, recession, sequestration, and the list goes on and on. Fortunately, many people still hold to the value of being their brother's keeper. Everyday heroes are seen. It is up to each person to stand and speak out for things that will make our society a better place to live for all of us. Many people are now ruled by fear and stand by idly by allowing suffering at the expense of many for the greed of a few. This is not the time to be afraid. No one else can stand in your place. Your courage fills that spot. It's lack of action that creates tragedy and despair. In some cases, change comes by the choices you make. So what can you expect today if you've been injured in a car accident? Since we are primarily living in an I society, your employer will more than likely try to throw you under the bus after approximately 2 years of paying out your long-term disability policy. And unfortunately, the legislation Congress enacted, ERISA, allows you very little recourse. Your employer group long-term disability policy may require you to apply for Social Security disability. Some hope that you will be denied and thus deny your claim. Are private company disability policies governed to play by the same rules as Social Security disability, or have they been granted a whole new set of rules? Rules not necessarily in the best interest of employees. Furthermore, your auto insurance company may pay lost wages for several months before looking for ways not to, which may leave you in a very bad place at a time when injured. Has hitting a person when they are down become fair play in today's society of I's? Not only has the injured gotten a raw deal from being hurt, but perhaps the real screw has not even begun. Poor and middle class people used to be able to rely on at least Social Security disability in case disaster strikes, surprisingly. Each paycheck, a premium on the insurance policy is paid. In past generations, this prevented many people from falling into abject poverty. It would cover basic necessities of food, housing, and utilities, and it was available for most sick or injured people. The insurance program was out of reach from Wall Street in the beginning and was holding its own weight. In other words, was sufficient. However, the average Social Security disability benefit does not go half as far, if you can even get it. Most benefits will not cover housing alone in most parts of the country, not to mention food or utilities. The disabled now have to be concerned with how they are going to survive each month, their injuries, and the impact on their life. By this time, many employers have exited the scene, taking with them the LTD benefits of their now ex-employees typically. If employers are required to pay out benefits instead of imploding policies with clauses which allow them passes to get out of paying, these resources would normally allow sick and injured people to survive by providing desperately needed resources that employees paid premiums to have. In my opinion, this would also apply to auto insurance companies too. Many individuals are glad they are receiving Social Security disability because if they did not have it, they would have next to nothing. Most people live paycheck to paycheck and make less than $25,000 a year, which in our society is difficult to live on. A majority of disabled live in poverty, unnecessarily for the most part, I must add, if they receive the additional benefits from employers and insurance companies. Why does Social Security disability bear the brunt of caring for the disabled? In my opinion, it's back to the I phenomenon, and the we suffers. Not all Social Security offices are created equal. Power in the hands of some individuals is a very dangerous thing, especially if it impacts your life in this fragile state. Let's hope at some point Social Security begins to rein in this type of behavior. But until then, post reviews online. It may be worth its weight in gold to go to an office that treats its patrons with respect and dignity, and where honesty is a valued commodity. Many Social Security disability attorneys navigate through the process well, but make sure to review their credentials and online comments about their work. It may well be worth the cost. Social Security disability benefits can be stopped just as your employer's LTD and wage loss from your auto insurance. Unfortunately today, in my opinion, counting on any of these resources may set you up for a big financial fall. Saving is important because you never know what any of these companies will do. Social Security performs reviews on your claims periodically. At some point, you may also be under surveillance. With any of these organizations, communicate only the facts of your case. Be your best advocate, do the best that you can, continue to heal, and realize their agendas will rise to the surface, especially if not in your best of interest. Regardless, do not give up, keep the faith, and a good attorney. Your LTD group policy from your employer, in my opinion, which also, from my perspective, ends up impacting your Social Security disability. The study's author reported that a number of European countries guarantee the workers at least 20 paid vacation days per year. France legally requires 30 paid vacation days. Canada and Japan guarantee at least 10 vacation paid days per year. So, this is me here. In my opinion, this is saying something about our private industry. You're seeing how Wall Street and execs are getting off the chart increases in salary, making lots of bucks, and you're still seeing that 30-year flat payment of wages to poor and middle class, who many are on the brink of not being able to survive. By the time you get to Social Security, the actual amount of income you could have actually been making and the actual amount you would be receiving on disability would be substantially different if we had, in my opinion, a fair system for people who are working that are poor and middle class. And we actually think that we're a number one country when we don't even take care of the people who propel us to that level. You know, I would just like to say I really appreciate a lot of the stance that Representative Alan Grayson takes as far as helping the average person. And if I were you, I would definitely contact your House representative and say, please help Alan Grayson get this through. People need at least 1 week of vacation. They're actually not being able to actually afford to live. They're not actually getting any time, any paid vacation off. And most of them are doing an excellent job and are certainly not getting the wages that they deserve. So this is something that you can act upon. This is how you can put your input in. The actual phone number for them up on my website, or go to my Twitter account of ESTRA's radio show, or ESTRA's Block Tip, or ESTRA's TV. You can also Google search and make sure that you get the number to call, because it's very important. It might take you just a moment or two of your time, but just imagine low-income wage earners being able to get a week vacation. Can you imagine what that would mean to their lives? Just think, if it were you, what it would mean to yours. We've had 30 years of stagnated wages, and that if actual workers had been paid what they should be when they actually arrived into their golden years, they would have had more money saved. Before this time, you didn't see a lot of banks out there trying to do second mortgages, or you saw that big scandal where they were charging all those high interest rates to people who couldn't actually even afford to be into the houses. So you've seen them actually, to me, in my opinion, Wall Street use this as a way of sucking up a lot of the resources from the people who really needed them. What kind of society promotes behaviors that would cause their seniors to be placed in a position like this in their golden years? To me, this is another example of moving from the I's instead of being a we society. And I personally believe, in my opinion, not only are seniors in this situation, baby boomers are in this situation. And I personally believe, with the way in which even new graduates are coming out into jobs that are minimum wage paying or low paying jobs, this is something that's going to be continuing, where this 1% is still making all the money. And the only way, in my opinion, this is really going to change, and if you get disabled, for that money to be there if you need it, is for people to stand up and say, we are not going to do this anymore. Wall Street, you can't have all our money, you can't make all the rules. This is not your country alone. This is the United States of America. It belongs to all of us, and we all should be treated fair and with dignity with fair wages, fair housing, fair being able to eat food that we know is food and not genetically made up of something else, just to reduce the pollution that is just making a fast buck for a few. It really is time for change, and the only way that's going to happen is you listeners is to say, okay, I get it. I see what's happening. I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I'm going to stand up and say, Congress, change the rules, stop just working in the hands of lobbyists, and do something about our problems. That's going to be the only way after a car accident that there'll be resources available in Social Security, is if you, the people, stand up and say, the way in which our system is set up, it's broken, and we really need to take it back to where it's working for all of us. Whatever your experience is with processing your claim through Social Security disability, don't give up on yourself. You did not expect your life to take a turn for the worse when injured in a car accident, and good things can come your way just as quickly as the unfortunate. So keep your chin up, be determined to fight. In my opinion, today's systems are set up against the injured and sick. Many spend too much time and use the little money they have in attempts to stay afloat, while those who should be paying out benefits delay, deny, or roll it into their profits. From my perspective, if there are strong ties between big businesses and Social Security, poor and middle class people will be at a disadvantage to receive the services past generations were confident that they could get. Pay close attention to legislation Congress is attempting to pass regarding Social Security. Where things go from here are up to each one of us by standing up for our rights, and collectively, that means more we than I. In this way, what we've gained by past generations is not lost in a single one.